What's up, everybody? It is the Higgs here, joining you for the next to last episode of MMO Play Dailies. Holy crap, I can't believe it is already here. In honor of this being the next to last thing, we are going to do one last list. Normally we do top fives. I think we've even done a top 3 or 2 in the history of this show. But today, since there are only 2 shows left, we're doing top 2. So it's going to be a brief list, but it is my favorite 2 things to come out of E3. I'm not saying these are the best things that happened at E3 2013. I'm saying these are the 2 things that I am legitimately excited about and cannot wait to see upon launch. First up, it's absolutely no surprise, Final Fantasy VII. I mean, if you watch my coverage of E3, you know that this blew my freaking mind. It's weird, in a sea of like all these new IPs and sequels, that the thing that I get legitimately jazzed about is a remake. I mean, it's not like anything new is going to happen in this game. You know exactly how the battle between Cloud and Sephiroth is going to play out. But still, there's something so nostalgic and wonderful about seeing just the itty bitty tiny bit of next-gen graphics that you got with this Final Fantasy VII trailer-ish thing. I especially love that when I was watching it on the live stream, you didn't know what this was. I think part of it is lost on people who are like, see that it's a Final Fantasy trailer, then click it and then watch it. We didn't know as we were watching E3. We were just watching, we're like, oh, this is a cool little dystopian thing, and then little things started popping up and you're like, isn't that, don't I know that from? Are they copying that from? And then in the end, Cloud with the sword, oh man, it was just I screamed at the TV. It's one of those feelings that you just get every once in a while as a gamer that just blows your mind. You know, even though you know what's going to happen, even though you know there's going to be certain major plot points that they're not going to deviate from, it's still something that you want to see, you want to play again, and you want to feel the same feelings but in a new way. What I mean is, a few years ago I actually went back and tried to play Final Fantasy VII, that big 4-disc set, and I just couldn't get through it anymore. And it's not because the game is bad anymore, it's because I've evolved as a gamer. This is something that you hear people talk about, like in World of Warcraft. I don't know if you guys know this or not, but for the anniversary of World of Warcraft, their 10-year anniversary, they re-released an early raid from the game, Molten Core. People played it and hated it, even though everybody's always talking in that game about how the old raids were much better than the new raids. Fact of the matter is, nostalgia does a whole hell of a lot to your brain. So when you actually get a taste of the content that you used to love, the trends that you're enjoying these days have kind of ruined it because they're better. But with the Final Fantasy VII remake, we get to take those trends, put them in place on a killer storyline, which is what we all loved about it, let's be honest. Put it in place on a killer storyline, take us to that world that we miss and long for, and get to re-experience the whole thing over again. I could not be more excited about this game. So The Last Guardian is next up on my list, and unfortunately there's not a whole lot we know about this game, but the little I do know is enough to get me stoked. Look, this is the same team as the ones behind Shadow of the Colossus. Easily one of my favorite standalone games of all time, possibly one of my favorite games, period. Here's what we think we know, and this is direct from Wikipedia, so take that with a huge grain of salt, but game shown to involve a young boy who befriends a giant bird/dog-like creature, Trico, and the two work together to evade guards that are after them both. The game requires the player controlling the boy to manipulate Trico like a real animal, such as luring it with food, as to use the creature as a means to climb and reach high platforms or other remote places. This sets the core of the game on puzzle-based action, as in between the various puzzles the player will encounter, enemies will be encountered, potentially impeding progress. It is the player's role to survive in such an occurrence, much like Eco. So this game is out in 2016. All I can find legitimately is what was more or less shown in the trailer. From what we can gather in the trailer, the bird dog thing was probably a prisoner, but that's really all I'm willing to speculate at this point, and honestly, that's all I need. Look, the trailer for this sets the tone perfectly as within the realm of those incredible games that have come from this developer in the past, and when you put a developer that has done such groundbreaking work, you show a trailer that looks like they're doing the exact same thing again, not repeating themselves, but more groundbreaking work. What is there not to be excited about? This is not going to be one of those things that's like an Assassin's Creed, where it's pretty great and then a slew of sequels go on to ruin it. This is going to be a standalone game that you're going to play a few times, maybe unlock all the achievements, have it on your shelf, and go back to once every 3 or 4 years and just love it and enjoy it all over again. And those, for me, are my favorite game experiences. So what are your top stories from E3? What are those 2, 3, 5 things that are really getting you jazzed up for the next year in gaming? Leave a comment below and let me know. Guys, I've been the Higgs from MMOplay.com. This has been an episode of MMO Play Dailies, the next to last episode of MMO Play Dailies. Please do thumbs up this video, share it like a venereal disease, and go visit MMOplay.com. Tomorrow, I've got a special treat for our very last show, so I will keep my mouth shut and I will reveal what it is to you tomorrow. So I'll see you then.